we thought we'd focus on clinical trials because this is really the golden age of new treatments in IgA nephropathy. I thought I'd just give you a background before Alex and Chike give you some more information. So this is for the kidney doctors, this is the Bible really of how we treat all the different types of glomerular disease, of which IgA nephropathy is one of them. And what I want you to show you here is this was published just late last year, where I was part of a group that looked at all the evidence for all the treatments in IgA nephropathy. And so what we came up with is the most important thing in managing patients with IgA nephropathy, as you can see here in the center, is to offer our patients the opportunity to be involved in a clinical trial, if they're eligible and there are clinical trials available, because we know how important it is to be assessing new treatments and how important it is to know that they work and that they're safe, because at the moment we have really precious little to offer patients with IgA nephropathy. And so this is where we are in 2021, 22, but this is changing for the better. So when Karen and I first started in IgA nephropathy, if we were thinking about new treatments for IgA nephropathy, this is what it looked like. Very, very sad and very unexciting, and very few people interested in developing new treatments for IgA nephropathy. And it was a really depressing time. But that has changed. And that's changed because of a better understanding of what's happening in the disease, in terms of how the immune system's affected, how the kidney's affected. And that's down to the research that's been done across the world. And that research would only be possible because of people like yourselves who are very happy to give us an extra bit of blood or an extra bit of urine, or let us look at your kidney tissue after you've had a kidney biopsy. So you have contributed to our better understanding of the disease, and in turn that has led to us being able to develop new treatments. And all I want to show you is this picture here on the right hand side. Each one of these is a different drug that is in some phase of assessment at the moment in IgA nephropathy. And if I put this up 5-10 years ago, it would have had no drugs. So this is how exciting it is in terms of the number of new treatments that are being looked at in IgA nephropathy. And Chike is going to talk a little bit more about that, and Alex is going to let you know how we go about doing those trials. But this is incredibly exciting, not only for patients who have IgA nephropathy at the early stages, but potentially for those who have a kidney transplant and might get disease that comes back in the kidney transplant, because these drugs are likely to be useful there as well. So which drugs, how far are we? Well, there's one drug that is a drug that actually is designed to target the immune cells in the gut. So actually treating your kidney disease by actually targeting your intestines. And this drug is called Nefecon. And I'm sure Chike will mention it, but the initial results have been shown that if you give this drug, you can reduce the amount of protein in the urine, and that in turn will protect long-term kidney function. And the reason I mention that is because this drug is now approved for use in the United States. You can see here it's called Tarpeyo, and it is the first ever treatment approved for the treatment of IgA nephropathy. And what's important for us is that within Europe, this drug has now been provisionally approved by what's called the European Medicines Agency, which the UK used to be part of, but now the UK is separate because of Brexit. But actually, if a drug is approved in Europe by the EMA, it is going to be approved in the UK by what's called the MHRA. So it is likely that at some point this year, this drug, which is in Europe called Kinpeygo, is going to be approved and available for us to prescribe for patients with IgA nephropathy. And that's due to the fact that we've run this clinical trial. We've had lots of patients in the UK in this study, and we're starting to see all that hard work of patients coming into studies turn out and produce drugs that we can actually start prescribing in the near future for our patients, where we've got nothing really to offer at the moment. Another drug which is very close to being able for us to prescribe is a drug called Sparscentan. some of you may have been in this study, the PROTECT study, which is a study of a drug which is almost, for sake of arguments, is a supercharged ACE inhibitor that is able to protect the kidney. And this drug has been shown to reduce the amount of protein in the urine as well. And this application is now with the FDA to go through that approval process, and the data will all be given to the European equivalent sometime this year, it's likely. And this drug may well, if approved, be another drug that we can prescribe for patients with IgA nephropathy. So having gone from no drugs, we're suddenly on the verge of having at least 2 drugs that will be available on the NHS to be given to patients with IgA nephropathy. And what's really exciting is I want you to remember we had very little interest. You may or may not have seen these new therapies that silence genes, and these are just some information. Oops, I don't know what's happened there. And the FDA, the regulator in America, has approved these, and many of you on the call may well have had an RNA-based treatment in the COVID jab, because that's the Pfizer vaccine. But these therapies are brand new, they're cutting edge. And the great news is these are also approaches that are being tried in IgA nephropathy. And so we've got this drug called cemdisiran, which is a drug that is an RNA therapy that's silencing a gene in the kidney, in the liver, that produces a protein as part of the immune system. And we've been testing it in IgA nephropathy. And the early results are that that is effective as well. And so when we come back to this, these are all the therapies, and the beauty is they're all doing slightly different things. So we can potentially use them together in the long term to get that maximal benefit and maximal protection for your kidneys. And the great news is, of course, that they're all, or virtually all of them, are recruiting in the UK. And the UK is seen as a place to come to do trials in IgA nephropathy. And my goal as a kidney doctor is to make sure I'm in a position to offer every patient I see, whether they've got IgA nephropathy or not, the opportunity to go into a clinical trial. Now, it may not be right for some people, they may not be eligible, but I think we've got to make sure that we offer you as patients the opportunity to be in a study. So what are the next 10 years going to be? Well, the next 10 years, I think, are going to be incredibly exciting. Not just exciting for me, because I'm not important, but they're going to be exciting for you as patients, because we are going to have lots of new treatments that are going to help protect your kidneys. And here are just some examples, but we are going to be having many, many different treatments that we're going to be able to use in combination that are going to be able to help get this disease under control. And my view is with the treatments that are coming, we could move to a time when, if you're diagnosed with IgA nephropathy, we have a real opportunity to stop you ever developing kidney failure. Now that's a big aspiration, but I think with the treatments that are coming, we have a real opportunity here to get that disease under control and to be able to manage this disease.